There is no better anticipation in sports in my mind than from Selection Sunday to the first round tipping off at 12:15 p.m. on Thursday. Topo, we got a bracket. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling incredible. We've got a lot of momentum going into it right now, too. You can't describe it. This is the best feeling. I mean, when we're getting at it hot tonight, too, first four, we got some cool games. I'm excited to talk ball.
Can't wait, man. We're going to get into it all. We're going to give you a region-by-region breakdown starting in the East, and we're going to be telling you our favorite first-round matchups, some locks that we like to bet on for spreads that are out, which are in the first round, and we're going to end giving you our Final Four picks. So we're going to have full predictions on this podcast. This is the one you don't want to miss. These are two guys that I've watched ball all year. I've been going to Topo all year long with his picks, and they have been hot, and there's no better way to say it than in March. We're 14-4 on the Instagram. Topo, you've been given most of the picks. We had an 8-0 run to start, but we picked up a sneaky 4-lock streak during the conference tourneys.
Very sneaky and very strong. We rode the Samford Bulldogs a little bit. We'll talk about them a little bit later. There's a lot of teams that we were betting on last week that are going to appear this week, so we'll see.
There's going to be some carryover for sure.
Totally.
Go check out the locks on Instagram because we already have, when you're watching this podcast, we already have a first four lock on the Instagram story, and we're going to be doing it all month long. Also, if you're listening on Spotify, we're live on YouTube. We got video now, so be sure to come over here, watch us in the studio, give you all the locks. If you're watching, but then you want to listen, you can go back to it on Spotify. We have all the bases covered for the best month of the year. Start us off in the East.
We're starting with the region of death.
That's what
we're talking 3 of the 4 Final Four teams from last year. We're talking top 4 seeds are all current conference champions. UConn, Iowa State, Illinois, Auburn. Unreal stack at the top. That's before you talk about anyone else. What a strong region. They're trying to give UConn a challenge. Let's see how they can handle it.
I know Dan Hurley's going to take it personally, and he's going to have his boys pumped up. I mean, these are the 4 best conferences, and you're getting the champion from each one. You got the Big 12, the SEC, the Big 10, and the Big East. All the bases are covered, and not even to mention FAU and San Diego State, who were in the Final Four last year, like you said. The Selection Sunday show got started off hot because immediately, once you found out UConn, Auburn, teams like FAU, San Diego State were in that top half of this region, you knew that it was the region of death right off the top.
You knew it immediately as you were seeing it develop, and you could feel as you saw teams reacting. You could see teams actually notice and look and point. I was seeing players point all the way around the screen. People know that this is the region to mess with. There are a lot of great matchups. While we're talking about the Huskies, I want to say that their X factor, I think Cam Spencer is really the one that can take them back to cutting down the nets again. Grabbed him out of the portal from Rutgers. He has been lights out this year. He's really the difference maker.
Yeah, they have some dudes. They lost Jordan Hawkins, Sanogo from last year's championship team, but they replenished quickly. And Dan Hurley has his boys in a better spot than they've been all season. Coming off a pretty dominant Big East run, beating Marquette in the final. They had a tough game against St. John's in MSG, which is their home stadium. So they kind of went through the ringer there to end the season in a tough conference, as we all know, in the Big East. So
absolutely,
UConn is definitely they've taken some punches already, and I think that they're going to be ready to go in March. I also think Dan Hurley kind of waits all season long for the NCAA tournament. He almost doesn't want them to be playing their best basketball until March, and I think that he has perfectly done that once again. Everyone's picking UConn. What other teams are you looking at in this region?
I like what you said about that because I'm gonna mention even in this region too. I'm gonna mention a team or teams throughout the pod that I think have already peaked, and UConn is absolutely not one of those. Their best ball, I don't know if it's still in front of them, but they've only shown the glimpses of it. And I'm gonna ask you before I go into this region more. What's your favorite matchup here? First round.
There's a lot. I think FAU Northwestern is going to be a fun one to keep an eye on.
Absolutely.
People are disrespecting FAU, saying that they got way too high of the seed, being number 8. They didn't even make it to their conference tournament.
They bring 6 guys back from that team.
All 5 starters.
Yeah.
let's not forget that was not a fluke run last year that went to the Final Four. That was a good team, and they were one buzzer beater shot away from being in the national championship.
I could not agree with you more. They are getting slept on because people are upset at the respect they got with that 8 seed. I think they're positioned right about where they should be. I think the American is a good conference. I know I'm biased. I do think it's a pretty good conference, and they are way more battle-tested going into March than they were last year. I'm looking at this Drake-Washington State game. We love the Bulldogs. I know we do.
Bulldogs.
The DeVries family is taking over Drake University. Tucker is the man of the hour.
Tucker and Darian DeVries, they're going to be one of the stories of the first round. Father-son combo in March. You can't beat it. It takes you back to Ron Hunter back in Georgia State.
Vegas made Drake a favorite here for a reason. They want people to see the 7 seed and bounce on Washington State. Odds makers want to root for these Drake Bulldogs, and so do we. We're loving the DeVries family. Tucker's going to get his 20-piece, and they're going to give Iowa State everything they want in the second round.
He's coming off a 27-point game in the Missouri Valley Conference Championship. Drake was, before the bracket even came out, Drake was going to be one of my upset picks. Now you're going to match him up against Washington State, who I think isn't one of the stronger 7 seeds. Give me the Drake Bulldogs all day long. I'm pumped for that one. I think it's going to be an easy way to start off the tournament with a 10-7 upset pick.
I like it. Before we leave the East region, I like to mention a team I talked about a lot last week, BYU, one and done in the Big 12 tournament. I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that. They lost to a solid Texas Tech team who's also on the 6th line. They got such a favorable matchup here with Duquesne.
Yeah.
Duquesne had to beat maybe 2 teams that were better than them in their run. I know Duquesne is playing well, but they're not looking like what I just saw from NC State or Oregon in their runs.
Agreed.
BYU has the draw that I really like of the 6 seeds to be able to push into that Sweet 16 and maybe deeper. Illinois, they're the team that I believe is already peaked. It's no knock against them, no knock on Brad Underwood. Love him as a coach, love this roster. I love Terrence Shannon. He can single-handedly win them a lot of basketball games, as he already has.
For sure.
But this BYU team is the formula to knock off Illinois. They're the best passing team in the country. They lead. They're second in America in assists per game. They move it around the way Illinois can't defend.
Look at this. This is proof right here of the trust that I have for Topo. I have my bracket filled out. If you're watching the YouTube, you can see it. We're going to get all the picks. I have almost everything filled out. I probably have 90% of it filled out, but I have some blanks. One of the blanks I have, BYU, Illinois, second-round matchup. I'm filling it in right now. BYU. You sold me. I love the Cougars.
Love it.
I watched them play. They were the first bet that I made last week in a conference tournament. I bet them to cover in the first-round matchup against UCF, and they absolutely wiped the floor. They're hitting their shots. It was so fun to watch. If they shoot above 35% from 3 in their first 2 rounds, I think that they are a Sweet 16 team guaranteed. The only reason that they lost that second-round game in the Big 12 tournament was because they shot terribly.
And Texas Tech was shooting exceptionally. It was an analytical fluke, that game, to be honest with you.
So let's pick our winners, Topo. Are we going with UConn, the 1 seed in the East?
I'm going Elite 8 matchup, BYU versus Auburn. I'm taking the Region of Death to cause some chaos this year. Wow. 6 versus 4 in the Elite 8. Give me Auburn in the Final Four.
How about that?
Playing their best ball right now. Bruce Pearl playing for everything. His father passed away last year. He is an incredible, incredible tournament coach, and they gave him 4 seniors this year. Yeah. This has got Bruce Pearl written all over it in my mind, and seeing the public all over UConn makes me want to vouch for Auburn more, just because I want to be that guy that isn't on UConn.
They won the SEC in dominant fashion, going through, South Carolina, and then they had Mississippi State, and then Florida. It was a tough run. And
they made Mississippi State look like they were nothing, who is playing exceptionally well right now.
The key for Auburn, which is why I love this pick, Johnny Broome. He is a beast down low. He is a terrible matchup for anyone that is going to have to face Auburn. But I think the biggest thing that this Auburn team has figured out, and this is going to be a little KD Johnson hate because I haven't liked him since he left Georgia, but they figured out the guard situation. They got good guards. Bruce Pearl benched KD Johnson's ass, as he should have a long time ago, and now they kind of have it figured out.
Holloway, Donaldson, Johnson, Jones, they've got their guys, and everybody's hitting their stride right now. Trey Donaldson was so good in that SEC tournament. He was very fun to watch. That's my sneaky pick.
I like your sneaky pick. I'm not going to agree with you, however. I got UConn.
Gotcha.
I think that they're too strong. I think the biggest thing that kind of tipped the scale for me, it's not all the people on TV picking UConn, because everybody and their mom is picking UConn, which I hate. But you got to, I mean, it makes sense. They're the best. They're the best team right now in basketball. They're the number 1 overall seed. My biggest thing, they don't have to step on an airplane until the Final Four. They're playing in Brooklyn
and Boston, is it?
And Boston.
Yeah, I mean,
that's huge.
Come on.
That's huge. They're going to be playing.
That's huge.
So if it goes as planned right now, we'll have UConn, Auburn in Boston. I mean, that's going to be a home game for UConn in TD Garden.
It absolutely is.
That plays neutral sites. You said, I mean, neutral sites, it matters what the crowd looks like. We haven't even mentioned their name yet, which is crazy for a Quick Locks podcast, because if you've kept up with us,
I was just about to say.
If you've kept up with us this basketball season, you know that we love the Iowa State Cyclones.
The Cyclones, man, they were on the January NFL playoffs pod. What happened is we hate their draw, and we said that we talked about it a lot. You can't bet until you see the draw. I told myself I had to wait, and boy, am I glad I did. They got Drake in the second round, the best 10 seed in this tournament. And I just can't, with confidence, take them to go to the Final Four. Would it surprise me? Obviously not. Cashed out Big 12 champion.
Yeah,
but
that's big.
I can't see it with the draw.
Wait, so do you have them losing to Drake or BYU? You have BYU.
As far as my bracket goes,
Yeah.
I've got BYU being able to knock off Iowa State, because as our trends have gone for our 14-4 run, if you're playing a team a third time and you've already beat them twice, that is danger. Iowa State, BYU, Iowa State's got both wins in their bag. If those two teams get to meet again in the Sweet 16, BYU is going to get their first win against them.
BYU beat them on January 16th, but then Iowa State won in March.
Oh, they're split.
They're split.
Okay. So, I mean, either way, it's the
It's a tiebreaker.
The Big 12 Conference was
so good.
Incredible this year. Either way, that was the game where I have BYU advancing and knocking out Iowa State.
Okay.
I do have Iowa State beating Drake. But slam.
To your point, BYU had a 15-point win against Iowa State in January.
Yeah.
That doesn't go away. Especially when you're playing in the NCAA tournament, it's win or go home.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I'm going to have Iowa State and UConn in the Elite Eight, with the Huskies making it to the Final Four. Let's move on to the West region. This one, not as
talked about.
as loud, not as talked about as the East. Topo, I'll say it now. I got a whole lot of upsets in this region.
This is a region where I'm looking at some double digits too. Let's talk. Who you got first?
All right, let's go. I guess we'll go in order, starting with the 10 seed.
Okay, so if you're looking at starting with double digits.
Starting with double digits.
Okay.
I love Nevada Wolfpack. I think that Steve Alford is a great coach. He's one of 4 coaches to take 5 different teams to the NCAA tournament. No one knows this guy, Steve Alford.
Unreal.
I guarantee you, most people that are filling out their bracket had no idea who that was before this podcast. That's why you listen to Quick Locks. You learn stuff. Steve Alford is going to lead the Nevada Wolfpack on a little run this March. They lost in the first 4 last year. He's taken them to the tournament a good bit. Nevada's a team that's always around in March. But the biggest thing for me, the biggest reason that Nevada is going to beat Dayton in the first round and then give Arizona all they can handle and more in the second round, they're playing in Salt Lake City. That is right down the road from where Nevada plays. That's huge. A 10 seed basically has the home court advantage there. I don't know the Western United States geography as well as most, but I do know that Nevada and Utah are touching.
Those states are close. Those states are close, and
they're damn close, and that's why Nevada's making a run.
Yeah, and they love their hoops out there. And this Nevada team comes from a conference that got all 6 in that deserved it to this tournament, but wow, was the committee rude with how they seeded them. Nobody above an 8, and the champ is an 11. I mean, this conference has something to prove.
Let's get to
this conference has something to prove. How about them Lobos, baby? It's been 9 or 10 weeks since we've been discussing the New Mexico Lobos. 4 scorers that average at least 11 points. They've got different ways to beat you inside and out. Toppin, Mashburn, House, Dent. These are the guys that you're going to know after you watch them. We're familiarizing ourselves with these guys because they are ballers. Clemson we liked last week.
Yeah.
because of the weak ACC.
They let us down.
And what a brutal draw to get New Mexico as a 6th seed. I mean, that is unreal. Now, I will say this about Clemson. They've got a resume of road wins against North Carolina and Alabama, which is as significant of road wins as a 6 or 7 seed can probably have. But their home struggles and their inconsistency is where I point to have them get knocked out. And New Mexico is old and fast, so fast. I don't think Clemson's athletic enough.
New Mexico, top 3 in the nation against the spread out of all teams in the NCAA tournament field. 23-11 ATS. Take New Mexico while you can. If you're just now joining the Quick Locks wave, I am sorry. We've been hot all college basketball season, and now more than ever.
The few, the proud that are with us have made a lot of money. They really have, and it's going to keep going.
New Mexico, and then we're not done with the upsets in this region, Toba. I'm going to cap us off at the 12 seed. I'm not going to go any higher than the 12 just yet. Stick around for that.
Stick around, because I will.
Number 12, Grand Canyon is playing St. Mary's, and man, St. Mary's is a hard team to gauge. We were talking about it before the pod. I like this Grand Canyon team. They have a school record in wins. They've been to the tournament 3 of the last 4 years. This is something to keep in mind where this game is being played. Spokane, Washington.
Yeah.
Where's Spokane? It is right down. It is literally right down. It's not right. It's like right down the block from Gonzaga, where Gonzaga plays basketball. 7-minute drive. What does that mean? Is Gonzaga playing in Spokane? No, because they had a bad regular season. They're a 5 seed. St. Mary's is. Oh no, excuse me. St. Mary's is a 5 seed playing in Spokane. They are gonna have a whole lot of Gonzaga fans in the arena cheering for Grand Canyon.
Oh.
It's like your classic Duke UNC playing in the same regional.
Yeah.
All the UNC fans are cheering against Duke. All the St. Mary's fans all the Gonzaga fans are going to be cheering against St. Mary's. I think it's going to be a favorable crowd for Grand Canyon, who's having their best season ever. Grand Canyon's been to the tournament.
Rallying around the underdog.
They have the March experience, so give me that 12-5 upset.
Love it, and they've got a coach who's been here plenty of times before as well with Valparaiso and Vanderbilt, Mr. Bryce Drew, younger brother of national champion Scott.
There you go.
Mr. Bryce Drew.
I didn't know that, yeah.
Name to keep an eye on for sure.
And Scott Drew's still at Arizona, right?
No. Arizona's coach is not Scott Drew.
I was thinking of Sean
Scott
Miller.
Drew's, is it Baylor, no?
Scott Drew, Baylor, yes.
Yeah. They won, what, 2021?
Yeah, 2021, the year after COVID. Tommy Lloyd is a coach at Arizona.
Tommy Lloyd, yes, correct.
Okay, but Drew, we got Scott's older brother.
I'm keeping it going with the chaos in the West region because I'm talking about my family ties with the College of Charleston.
Whew.
My grandfather played basketball at the College of Charleston.
Go Cougars.
This is an inevitable play of mine. Topo Max on the spread. Sprinkle the ML. College of Knowledge, baby. The College of Charleston. They call it the College of Knowledge.
I didn't know
Funny that the College of Knowledge is playing against Alabama. Not going to chirp. This is Adam Silver's type of ball game. You can see close to 200 points here. A lot of offense, a lot of shooters. Charleston plays an 8-man rotation, 6 juniors, a senior, a freshman. They've got a mix of everything. This team played in the first round last year and lost to San Diego State by 5 before they went on their run to the final game. Some players on that Aztec team would argue their toughest game of the entire tournament last year was beating Charleston in the first round.
Oh, yeah, 5-point win.
Give me the 9. I'm not even going to say a spread because I don't know exactly what it is. Give me the points for Charleston as the Topo Max. Give me the money line as a sprinkle. I cannot wait to watch this game. This is going to be the most fun game to watch, I think, of the first round. So many points, so many shooters. You want to be tuned in, and you want to have the underdog when they get the win.
I got some more fun numbers for you. You just sold everybody on Charleston Topo. I love the big. Also, shout out Spencer Legg, my friend from high school. He's on the team as well.
Love it.
Listen to this. Bama Charleston over under 173.5. Wow. The biggest NCAA tournament spread over under since 1995.
And y'all know I'm unders guy too. I like the over. Like
you and 91% of the nation. 91% of the money is on over 173. Isn't that crazy?
That is wild. I do see the pace of it matching that though, and this is really going to be fun to watch. Mark your calendars.
Yeah, tune into that game on Friday. Man, you got to love this West region. We got 10, 11, 12, and 13 upsets.
Can I bring up a little side note about this West region? we've been talking about the double-digit seeds. Have we noticed the 1 and 2 of this region? And
we gotta bring it up.
Have we noticed
The Caleb Love, R.J. Davis
Caleb
revenge
Love,
game.
R.J. Davis
Had a little scuffle between their girlfriends and cheating.
Who'd the girl choose? Who'd the girl like better?
Oh, I love it.
The world may never know.
This drama, we're not just making something out of nothing because I hate UNC, if you didn't already know. This is legit drama. UNC, who's the number one seed this year, they didn't even make the tournament last year because these guys hated each other so much. The chemistry was so bad between R.J. Davis and Caleb Love. Love had to go to the other side of the freaking country, and now they're matched up in the same region. I love it from the committee.
This rematch could feed families. I want to see this game so bad. Let me hit everybody with a quick stat real quick while we're talking about the top teams. Since 2019, we've seen 16 Elite Eight games. Only once have we watched the 1 versus 2 seed in a region in 4 years.
Really?
So I say that not only to back up my own BYU Auburn pick from last region, but I say that to realize how rare it is to really, really see these matchups happen.
Yeah, wow.
I would love for this to be another one, though, that we can see. As you said, the drama is so there. It would be a similar over-under to that Alabama game we just talked about. That's got drama and storyline just written all over it.
Give us a pick. Who you got?
I'm going Arizona to the Final Four. It's not about the Pac-12. It's not anything like that. It's their 3 seniors and the best scorer on the court in every game until they play RJ.
Yeah, that's going to be one heck of a matchup.
And they're deeper than UNC.
If it comes to it.
They're deeper than UNC when they play them.
Yeah.
Like, straight up, in my opinion.
I'm going to go with UNC as much as it kills me. I think that they might have some weight off their shoulders after losing to NC State. Go Pack. We're going to get to them in the next region. I think that they're going to have a little chip on their shoulder coming off a loss. They got some guards that are hard to stop with R.J. Davis, Cormac Ryan. They can heat up, and Armando Bacot's going to be a tough matchup for anyone down low. I'm going to have UNC going to the Final Four. That's a common pick. They're the most bet team right now in Vegas to make the Final Four, UNC. You can get it at plus 300, not great value, but in a region of a bunch of upsets, I'm going to have to go with the 1 seed, even if it's the Tar Heels. I'm going to do it. Let's go over to the other side of the bracket, the South region. Man, Topo, we got a team that we love.
We've got a team that we love.
And they're not hiding with that number 1 next to them.
They're not hiding, and neither is their best player. And the best player in this region, Jamal Shed, best two-way player in college basketball, does everything properly. He just makes every smart decision. He's not the most athletic guy, but he clamps you down, scores, makes the right decision every play, the right pass. They've got their classic Houston formula. They've got one pure three-point shooter. They've got incredible bigs, physical bigs, with physical and prime decision-making point guard. It's a Houston team I've seen before, a formula I've loved before, formula I've watched, seen work before for this coach, and one that I'm putting a lot of confidence in to get back to a Final Four and cut down the nets potentially. I mean, they've got everything there. I loved the 30-point loss to Iowa State. Let me just be honest with you. I love it. Juwan Roberts goes out. Iowa State goes on a 35-12 run.
He's back.
Anybody and their mom wasn't watching that game and just sees the score.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, look what Iowa State just did to Houston. Houston can't be like that.
Yep.
Houston's like that. They were missing their best and most dominant big in the in the Big 12 Conference. They're going to be ready and healthy again. I don't see. We'll talk about these games, but is Wade Taylor maybe the biggest threat to a Houston Elite Eight appearance? I don't know. What do you think?
Let me just continue to hype up Houston because we cannot say enough good things on this pod. And I mean, we backed them all season long. We backed Houston. We backed Iowa State. It came on the NFL podcast, Tovo, and you told us those two teams, and look at them now. They're two of the favorites. I love that Houston had that 30-plus point loss to Iowa State in the Big 12 championship as someone who hasn't bet on them but will to win the national championship. Their odds dropped to plus 600. I'll take it 60-1 all day, or I guess that'd be 6-1. Okay, I wish it was 6-1.
No worries.
You're going to have to take like an NC State to get 61. I love the 6-1 value. The second I cross the North Carolina border tomorrow when I'm driving up to the NCAA tournament, I am taking Houston to win the national championship. You said Jamal Shed. I love Emmanuel Sharp, too. I think it's the best 1-2 combo in basketball. And Sharp is going to be a name that everyone's going to know by the end of the tournament. He's going to have the ball in his hands down the stretch. I could see him hitting a clutch shot at some point this tournament, maybe like Elite Eight, Final Four round that kind of just shocks. It makes everyone go crazy. You start to hop on this Houston team, and we're going to have been there from the start.
Totally.
I'll also say this. I think Houston, you could say it was a letdown run last year because everyone wanted him to go play for Jim Nance in his final March Madness. The Final Four was in Houston. There was so much pressure on them last year. This year, all that's out the window.
And the main core stayed.
And the main
come
core
back
stayed.
and win it.
Sampson, too, the coach. I mean, they're prime for a run deep in the tournament.
Love how you brought up Sharp, too, because the guy that has been hitting the clutch shots for them all year is LJ Cryer, and we didn't even talk about him. And that's the beauty of this Houston team. Because you can be down in a game, and they've got all 5 guys on the court who they feel confident in getting that bucket. So,
can't say enough good things about Houston.
Really can't.
Let's go a little further in the region. What's the first round matchup that you're pointing to?
I am glued on this 5-12 game. Glued. The Dukes are awesome. 30-win mid-major team. What a year. A win in East Lansing. Are you kidding? Mid-major to get a win in East Lansing at Michigan State. That is something we haven't seen on a resume from a mid-major in a while.
31 wins.
Wait to watch this game. 31 wins. I saw a Kobe Bryant reminiscent reaction from fifth-year senior Chucky Hepburn of Wisconsin as he reacted to the selection show.
Oh.
It has been blowing up my feed. I watched it live. This Wisconsin team is on an absolute mission after losing the Big Ten title game, which they 100% should have won. Them losing that game is the motivation and chip on the shoulder that can carry them all the way to the Final Four.
JMU was one of the people that I circled before the bracket came out, and then once I saw Wisconsin, I knew that I'd have a tough decision to make. I was ready to pick the Dukes to go to the Sweet 16. Now they're matched up against a Wisconsin team, the highest scoring Wisconsin team in program since the 1950s. They've had some good teams. Wow. The Badgers have had some good teams. Go back to Frank the Tank, Sam Decker in 2015, and now they're having the best offensive team. And now they have to play a high-scoring JMU team.
Yeah, I love you brought up that old Wisco team because this team is a little more guard-heavy, and it's a little bit of the opposite, way that Wisconsin attacks you. But it's that same Wisconsin identity of physicality, toughness, rebounding, passing. They do everything well across the board, which is why they're so hard to beat. There's not like one glaring flaw that they have.
Yeah, and another, just going to nerd out a little bit here, another throwback to 2015 Wisconsin team. If they can get by JMU and Duke beats Vermont, there's going to be a rematch in the national championship 2015, Duke and Wisconsin in Brooklyn. Just a tough game. Give me a
Grayson Allen legacy game.
Grayson Allen legacy. God, man, that was an awesome national championship.
Oh, it was. Are you gonna talk about your Wolfpack a little, or what? Come on now.
Oh.
How about this? How about it?
Man, what a run in the ACC tournament. I was fortunate enough to be with my dad. But my mom and my dad came down to Athens this weekend, so we were able to watch the game together. We were sitting in Walker's Pub in a booth. I think we almost got kicked out because we were screaming so loud when they hit the shot to beat UVA or to tie up the game against UVA, and then end up going to overtime, crushed the Cavaliers in OT, and then no better way to end it than beating off the Tar Heels. What a run. 5 wins, 5 days, 5 scoops of ice cream because Coach Kevin Keats always takes the team to go get some ice cream after a win. And, man, it was pretty special. As an NC State fan my whole life, and my dad went there, my sister went there, not seeing an ACC tournament ever in my 22 years on this earth. You have to go back to 1987 to when they won the last one, and this is something that doesn't really happen to us over in Raleigh, North Carolina.
I mean, that's a sick family moment. It
was special.
And to do it as the 9 seed, 11 seed, what were they in the tournament?
They were the 10 seed.
10.
Just the second time ever that a 10 seed has won any conference tournament.
Incredible.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm not repping my NC State ACC championship shirt. It's still in the mail. Thank you, Dad, for ordering it for me. I'll be repping it on one of the other podcasts we have during March Madness. But yeah, NC State, special run. and they were given the 11th seed. They wouldn't have even made the tournament if they lost to UNC in the championship. So win the ACC. Now they're an 11th seed, and I love this matchup against Texas Tech.
I mean, I think that I like Texas Tech, of course, but there's a lot to be said about how some of these conference champions can come into this tournament just so hot. I mean, God, we saw a couple of years back, Oregon State made a big run in the Pac-12 and then get to all the way maybe to an Elite Eight. I think definitely Sweet 16, maybe an Elite Eight. These Power 5 bid stealers are very, very interesting because they don't, as we've talked about, they don't look like the prototypical mid-major. Obviously, you see DJ Burns. He doesn't look like a typical anything.
He'll back anybody down.
His performance against Armando Bacot was one of the best I've seen all year. To say that he's going to do that again, I mean, not far-fetched at all.
Yeah.
Texas Tech ain't the best team down low. I think NC State's going to go inside to try and win this.
I think so, too. And they have some guards that can heat up from 3, too. I hope they can ride this momentum into the tournament.
Totally.
The public definitely thinks that they will. They are the favorite to make it to the Sweet 16. They're the most bet-on team to make it to the Sweet 16 at plus 500.
Wow.
That was my surprise for you.
They're the most bet-on team
to make it to the Sweet 16.
Wow, that is very interesting.
I fucking hate that as an NC State fan.
That is.
We're doomed.
Yeah, that's brutal.
They'd have to go past
Talking about things that you fucking hate, Florida. The Florida Gators.
Perfect.
As you keep moving down on this region, things we fucking hate, University of Florida, they got a brutal draw similar to what we talked about with our Drake Bulldogs, teams we loved last week but are now not so high on because of how the committee screwed them over. Florida got screwed. They got, whoever's going to win that first 4 game is going to give Florida fits. Yeah. KJ Simpson for Colorado, maybe a lottery pick, maybe the best player on that court if Colorado is the team that gets him. And boy, is Marquette a tough 2 to knock out. I think Florida would have been happier with Arizona, to be honest, because of matchups. This Marquette team with Tyler Kolek coming back healthy after what they just did the past 3.5 weeks is the scariest threat to Houston in any region, in my opinion. Bold take there. I think this Marquette team, including UConn, including anybody, has the best chance to beat Houston.
Wow.
Before they cut down the nets.
All right. Because you get Kolek back.
I love the fact that they had to deal without Kolek and get better in the month of March and at the end of February. In the most crucial part of your season, how do you deal without your best player? Figure it the fuck out. And Shaka did. They didn't fall off, really. And they almost won the Big East title without him. Shaka can carry this team far.
He loves this team. Before we move on to the final region, real quick, what the hell are we going to do with Kentucky at the 3 seed?
I'm going to sit there and look at them like the question mark that they are, and I'm going to just look at teams that they're matched up against. Are you better than them or are you not? That's a win or a loss because I cannot figure them out any more than that. I'll give them a win against Oakland, I give them a win against the winner of the 6-11, and then they're not as good as Marquette. So I'm just keeping it simple like that because I can't figure them out.
That'd be a fun game to watch, Kentucky Marquette. And then you get the winner of that game to play Houston.
Calipari's history in the Sweet 16, the way the committee fucks him up and gives him such brutal matchups is ridiculous. I mean, remember that Lonzo Ball game, De'Aaron Fox, Monk? I mean, there's just so many moments that Kentucky and John Calipari have had to deal with, and this team is no different.
Well, the Wildcats are the most bet-on team to make the Elite Eight at plus 275. Not a good line. Not a good line. 275? Yeah. And I think it's just that there's disrespect for Marquette for multiple reasons. Not just because they're in Wisconsin, but for other reasons too. Plus 275.
Interesting.
To make the Elite Eight. They're also the most bet-on team on the spread to cover in their first round game. They're minus 13.5 against Oakland. That's the most bet-on spread at 82%. Topo, we like to fade the public.
We like to fade the public.
Keep that in mind with Oakland. With the Oakland
spread.
Raiders. I mean,
Sure.
What Oakland Raiders are we getting? Oakland.
What? Their mascot?
The Raiders. We're just gonna.
We can just call them the Raiders. Yeah, exactly.
They're gonna do it for the Oakland Raiders.
I mean, this is quick locks. You're learning stuff. We know ball. The Oakland coach. It's his 40th season, and I mean that guy's a ball knower.
He knows ball.
Every shape and form.
He knows ball, and he knows to fade the public.
Cool to win. Yeah, he does. Cool to win the conference in a 40th season, and cool to see a coach in a mid-major team for his 40th season. Really, really a cool story there. I'd like to My pick here is Houston. I think they're going to cut down the nets.
I got Houston as well.
We're riding them. We're riding them together.
I would have picked Houston
they've
halfway through the season. They've been my pick all along.
The loss last week solidified it.
Yes,
it really did.
It was perfect.
It really did.
It was perfect. All right, last region.
Oh my God! Zach
Midwest.
Edey. I fucking hate you, Zach Edey. You suck. Are they gonna do anything this year?
Purdue, Purdue.
Purdue.
I think so. I think that they've figured out their problems from last year when they lost in the first round to Fairleigh Dickinson. The main thing was experience. No one really left. All their freshman guards are now sophomores because that's how that progression works. They got the back-to-back player of the year in Zach Edey. I think Purdue can get it done this year in terms of winning a game in the NCAA tournament. I really think that they can get by Montana State or Grambling. It might be a tough matchup depending on who wins that first four. Yeah. I think Purdue, as the 1 seed, can get by that 16.
I mean, I think they can get – yeah. I mean, look, Montana State, we've been on Montana State. They were a big part of the Quick Locks 14-4 run. Are we taking Montana State spread in the first four and against Purdue after they win? Obviously. Does it also kind of feel like it's, like you said, Purdue's time to figure it out? It does feel like they're older now. The core that lost all those games is still there for some reason, but it does feel like they're gonna start to figure it out. I've got them in the Sweet 16, but I don't know how much further than that. My matchup that I'm going to here that I really, really look at is Kansas.
Samford. That's a
Kansas and
tough
Samford
schedule.
We just talked about Kentucky's question marks. Now, I'd like to talk about Kansas's question marks briefly. Hunter Dickinson dislocates his shoulder. They announced that he's going to play in the NCAA tournament, though, almost immediately. Yeah. Kevin McCullough's been dealing with injuries for 6 weeks. I can't find news on him. A complete opposite reporting job on McCullough than Dickinson. Dickinson, you find anything you look up.
These are two All-American players. If you haven't
All-American
watched
caliber players. Hunter Dickinson did his thing at Michigan in the tournament for a while. Now with Blue Blood Kansas, this is Bill Self's least deep roster. He has
100%,
no depth.
100%.
And they're dealing with these injuries.
And Topo, let me get you started.
Please.
They're playing buckyball.
They're playing against buckyball, baby. Bucky McMillan brings this Samford team hot into March Madness. They get 87 points a game. They get 19 assists a game. Everybody's involved. Everybody contributes. It's the perfect mid-major storm that I've seen work before. Now, we talked about some Toporek family ties with Charleston earlier. Bucky McMillan won, I believe, this could be very far off. He won around 6 state titles at Mountain Brook High School, Birmingham, Alabama, to earn his spot, his rightful spot at Samford University.
That's a tough region down there in Mountain.
Oh, that's a tough region down there in Mountain Brook. Some NBA players in that region have come through there. Bucky McMillan earned his spot here in Samford. You think he hasn't coached against elite athleticism and elite talent before? Hunter Dickinson is nothing new for Bucky. Bucky is going to be ready. He's going to have his khakis and Sperry's on like he always does, representing the preppy common man. And Bucky is going to shock the world. 13 seeds are speaking to me this year, man. I'm taking another Topo Max with the Samford spread. Let me give you a little Cinderella here. We love storylines. Storylines. Rylan Jones, Samford's point guard. Bucky brings him in from out west. Utah State, a city you brought up earlier that is hosting games this year. Salt Lake City. How does Rylan Jones get to fly right back to Salt Lake City and play in his original University of Utah State?
That is doing your research right there.
Rylan Jones, Bucky snagged him from Utah State because he wanted to play in the South and he wanted to play in a March Madness tournament. He comes to Samford, becomes their point guard, and poetic justice, his March Madness game is in Salt Lake.
That is...
It's storyline.
That's
storyline.
That's doing the extra right there. Topo has done the extra for you guys. Make sure you circle that 13 seed. I'm riding it too. I say Samford gives Kansas its 3rd loss in a row to end the season and send Bill Self home crying. But who do they play next after they win? Are we going to Gonzaga or McNeese State or McNeese? Because we love this McNeese team as a Cinderella.
I think we're going to be a little split on this because we do love this McNeese team, but I think they've run into a brutal matchup. What do you think? I
agree. And I have Gonzaga. Okay. As much as it pains me, McNeese is one of 4 teams in the country with 30 wins. They went 30-3 this year. They play fast. They're a prime team to go on a run in March. I think Mark Few's going to have his boys ready to play in Salt Lake City. So, yeah, I got the Zags as well. Sweet 16 run.
And, I mean, yeah, this is not that – we know this isn't that normal Gonzaga team. But is it the same identity? 100%. And it's still got a Nimbard and an Anton Watson who have played in so many big games throughout their careers.
One more team that I want to hit on before we give our picks for this Midwest region. Tennessee got the 2 seed, and they have some fun matchups to watch in Charlotte. I'll be there giving you all the coverage I can from that regional. Tennessee and St. Peter's, we have some fun storylines. St. Peter's, the darlings of the tournament in 2022. They beat Kentucky and went on a run. Now they're back as an underdog going up against Rick Barnes, Dalton Connect, and a solid squad. Let me give you some numbers here. Rick Barnes, 9-21 against the spread in the NCAA tournament. 9-21 ATS. That is the worst of any coach in the nation since 2005. Keep that in mind when you're betting the Peacocks. Also, this shows you how easy it is to fade the public because of that stat I just gave you. Doesn't matter. 75% of the money is still on the Vols at minus 21.5. Give me St. Peter's plus 21.5.
Is that a Taft max?
That is a Taft
Love it.
max.
Come on.
If you want, parlay it with Samford. Just make some money in this Midwest region.
Love it.
I do think Tennessee is a very good ball club, though. I think they'll get by St. Peter's. Also, Zakai Ziegler is going to be playing his half-brother in that game. So it's always March Madness stories are incredible.
Very interesting.
So we have a brother versus brother matchup in the first round in Charlotte. And then if they get by, Tennessee would face Texas if Texas can beat the winner of the Virginia-Colorado State game, which, as you know, would be a Rick Barnes rematch game because Rick Barnes...
That would be a Rick Barnes revenge game, and it would be a Max Asmus, is he still a March legend type game? Because
or a Roberts legend.
We've seen Max Asmus do his thing in a way lower seed than
100%.
the 7 spot right here. Interested to see who wins the first 4 games to see who Texas gets.
I gave some trends on the Quick Locks Instagram. There's a first 4 team that wins a game 11 of the last 12 years that's happened. So it's either going to be this one or most likely the Colorado Boise State. It's going to be one of the two. I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm just saying what's going to happen. Pick one of those games to have a 10/7 upset. Texas, worst ATS in the field at 12-20. Something to keep in mind. I think this might be where you see an upset. And if it is a first 4 win over Texas, I think it'd be Colorado State. I don't think Virginia's that good. I said it.
Agreed.
You guys might be listening to this podcast after the game already happens, but watch out for the Rams. Let's give our picks for the Midwest. You made it clear that you're not picking Purdue, so who are we going with?
I'm going to go with the Zags. I'm going to go with the Zags because, first of all, Samford's my darling of the whole tournament. And I wish that they were with the St. Mary's 5 seed so they could knock them out and go to the Sweet 16. Samford, that is. But Gonzaga's way too big and physical for Samford's style. And typically Kansas teams are, but they're not. And Samford plays 8. I'm tempted to put Samford in the Elite 8. I'm not going to lie to you.
Holy.
Samford plays 8 guys that all played 19 minutes. It's the deepest rotation in the entire country while scoring the most points in the entire country. It's unbelievable. I'm gonna go with Gonzaga. I'm gonna keep a huge eye on hopefully watching Gonzaga and Samford in round 2, and I do think it was a blessing in disguise that Tennessee lost last week, though. I would love to see Gonzaga play Tennessee in the Elite 8.
And then who's the winner?
Gonzaga in the Final 4.
All right,
yeah.
I got. Get real quick. I'm gonna ask you this: Purdue, Gonzaga. Who has the matchup advantage there between those two
It's
teams?
the perfect matchup for Gonzaga because Purdue hasn't seen a matchup quite like Graham Ike and Anton Watson, let alone one of them in the Big Ten. Who's the best defender for Zach Edey, arguably for the past 3.5 months?
Yeah,
is Ethan Crowell, who's good.
Big Ten's weak. I love
Wisconsin's big man is arguably, I would say, the best defender at defending Zach Edey. Michigan State did a great job as well with Malik Hall. Gonzaga poses way more athleticism, way more size, way more talent than any Big Ten team did to Zach Edey. I think the Zags have the perfect formula for him.
That was one of my lines not filled in yet. Purdue's at Gonzaga game. I got Gonzaga now. I'm going to have them making it to the Elite Eight, and I have Dalton Connect in Tennessee making a run to the Final Four. I really like this Vols team. From the start of the season, Tennessee fans have been telling me they're making a Final Four run. They said they're going to. They said they were going to win the college football playoff last year. They're yappers, but I'm going to go with the yapping. I got Tennessee making it to the Final Four. I just filled out my bracket on video. If you're watching on the YouTube, you saw it. If you're not, if you're listening on Spotify, come on, join us on the YouTube. We're having a lot of fun here in the studio, and that completes our 4 regions. We have our Final Four set. So without further ado, Topo, take us away. Give me a full Final Four.
Without further ado, I've got the SEC champ representing the Southeastern Conference with Houston, Arizona, and the Zags. Rounding it out, Jamal Shedd and the Houston Cougars are going to cut down the nets.
You know, you can really feel confident about something in life if you have a squad ride national champion. I have Houston making it out of the South region and beating Tennessee in the Final Four. If you're looking at the graphic, I have UConn versus blank. I haven't even filled out the West yet, but it pains me to say it. I'm going to have UNC there. I'll have UConn beating UNC in the Final Four. Houston, UConn rematch. The Cougars take down the defending national champions and cut down the nets. It is their time to shine.
Take risks with your bracket. Take the bold takes that make all your friends look at you and just have their jaws drop on the floor. Don't get convinced by your friends because that team's better. That team's better. Take risks. Nobody knows what is going to happen. Taft and I just do our best to predict. We know ball, but we don't know what's going to happen. This is the best time of year. Enjoy it. And let's just honestly, let's count off the 3 maxes that we gave.
Yeah.
What was the Taft max?
We have, it's in the Midwest. St. Peter's plus 21 and a half against Tennessee.
Rick Barnes 9-21 against the spread. 2 Topo maxes on first round spreads. 2 13 seeds. Charleston, Samford. We've got 3 underdog
I'm going to sprinkle two. Oakland. Over Kentucky.
Hey, the public. We're doing what we do. We're following our trends. We're on a 14-4 run. Why wouldn't we?
There's no better way to say March than the 4 maxes from Taft and Topo. We got St. Peter's, we got Samford, we got Charleston, and we got Oakland. Welcome to March, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week for a Sweet 16 preview. But, guys, enjoy the basketball. We have a whole lot of it the next few days. Thank you for listening. We'll catch y'all next time.